Marksmanship hunters are master sharpshooters with a really quick rate of fire. It's very fast gameplay and it's really, really fun. So then, I'm going to show you everything you need to know to succeed at playing one in The War Within Season 1. It's going to be very beginner friendly and digestible, and it's also going to tell you everything you need to know if you are a veteran. Let's get started with the stats and the stat priority. Our main stat is, of course, agility as a hunter, if my mouse will actually hover over it. And you're going to get more and more of this by just getting a higher and higher item level of gear. This here is the general secondary stat priority that you should loosely follow. And again, a higher and higher eye level is generally always going to be better. I would only really recommend actually comparing the secondary stats if you're looking at two items of the same eye level. What do our secondary stats do, however? Versatility is the same for all classes and specs. It increases damage and healing done, while also reducing damage taken. Haste is actually going to increase how quickly we attack, and also our focus regeneration, which, as you can see here, is the main resource we'll be using to cast our attacks and spells. Mastery is unique to marksmanship hunters as a sniper training. The range of all your ranged abilities is increased, and the damage of all of it is increased more for the more mastery you have. So we are very good at attacking from a long distance. Critical Strike gives us a chance to do more damage. Now that we've gone through those, let's take a quick look at the set bonus and the tier set that we are getting in Season 1 of The War Within. The 2 set on our Lightless Scavenger's necessities is Arcane Shot and Multi-Shot damage is increased, 2 of our main abilities. And the 4 set bonus, Consuming Precise Shots, increases the damage of your next aimed shot by 10%. And that will stack up to twice. Now, if you are a beginner and you don't know these abilities, I will be covering them in full in the rotation section of this video. So now we're going to look through some of the utilities and defensives and things like that we have available to us as a hunter in The War Within. So I do want to just say, if you are a beginner watching, don't worry, I'm not going to show you every single spell. These are the ones that I think are really, really important that you should be aware of and using. There are, of course, other niche spells, and maybe if you are a beginner, when you're more comfortable with your rotation and how the build works, maybe just have a look through your spellbook and your talents on the hunter side on the left and just see what else you have available. But I don't think it's good to overwhelm yourself if you are. So, first up on the left, these are things that we're more doing to our enemies, and on the right is more things that are going to actually help us and our allies. So starting on the left then, we've got Freezing Trap. You can see that you can place this wherever you like, and you're going to fling it over there like that. Hurling a Frost Trap at the target location, and it's going to incapacitate the first enemy that touches it. You know, it's a trap. And this is going to actually last for an entire minute. So they're stuck there now for an entire minute, unless you do damage to them, at which point that is then going to stop the trap. We then have Counter Shot, and this is quite literally on a 24-second cooldown, our interrupt or kick. If you hear people using the word kick, it just means it's their interrupt. This is how we're going to interrupt our enemy's spellcasting, and that is really important to do. Beginners and veterans alike often overlook the importance of interrupting your enemy's spellcasting. And in Mythic Plus especially, and PvP, this is really, really important that you do this pretty much whenever you can. Sorry if you can hear that car alarm that's just started going off outside my house. And it's really, really important that you do that. We then have Concussive Shot, and this is actually going to slow your target for 50% for 6 seconds. Then we have Misdirection. This is a really interesting one. I actually love Misdirection. This is actually going to misdirect any threat that you cause to an ally. So I wonder if I can do it to a random person. No, they have to be in my group. Okay. Basically, I can click on an ally and I can be like, boom, I'm going to misdirect my threat to you. So when I'm attacking the enemy, if I'm doing loads of damage, like on pull, the threat will actually, the enemy will start attacking that other person because I'm directing my kind of aggression to that person rather than me. And then let's say you have accidentally got threat off an enemy and it's attacking you and not the person you want, or you've pulled an enemy that you didn't mean to and you've gone into combat. Well, we can actually use Feign Death. And this literally is where you play dead on the ground like this, and it will last up to 6 minutes. And it will take you out of combat, generally, and enemies will just ignore you. It is fantastic. It's one of the best abilities in the game, honestly. So Going on to the right-hand side, we've got Primal Rage. This is Bloodlust, or Heroism, as it's otherwise known. And you can see here, you've got a 10-minute cooldown, fatigued, cannot benefit from Primal Rage or other similar effects. So if you have a Evoker, a Shaman, a Mage, for example, in your group, they will not be able to use their Bloodlust, their Time Warp, or Fear of the Aspects. It is a shared cooldown, but this is your Bloodlust. If you don't know what Bloodlust is, or Heroism, it increases the haste by 30% for all party and raid members for 40 seconds, which is massive. It's generally known as the biggest cooldown in the game. We've then got some defensives here. Survival of the Fittest, reducing all damage you and your pet take by 30% for 6 seconds. It's actually got 2 charges. We've got Camouflage. You and your pet blend into the surroundings and gain stealth for an entire minute. While camouflaged, you're going to heal 2% of your maximum health every 1 second. And lastly, we've got Hunter's Mark. You can put this on before you go into combat, and you should always be doing this. It's actually going to increase the damage done to that target by 20% when they're over 80% health, and that's going to be for in the entire party and raid, not you, which is a phenomenal way to actually add damage for your entire group going into combat. And that is it for hunters. Like I said, there's a lot of other ones. You've got like down here, Eyes of the Beast. You've got Eagle Eye. You know, there's so many utilities that we do have available to us as a hunter. Scattershot, Scare Beast, Tar Trap, you know, the list goes on. But again, these are the ones that I think are the really core and important ones going into the war within that you should know. Now let's look at the rotation and utilities, etc. we'll be actually be using in PvP along with the hero talents. The PvP talents. And, well, then we will look at the PvP talents. And the hero talents are Dark Ranger. So, now that I've gotten that out, let's actually look at the main rotation we'll be using. So that is this here. We've got Dark Black Arrow. Oh my god, Dark Black Arrow. It's called Black Arrow. So I don't know what I'm going on about. Black Arrow. This is from the hero talents. Fire a black arrow into your target, dealing damage over 18 seconds. Every time it deals damage, you have a chance to generate a charge of aimed shot and reduce its cast time, which is this spell here. Then we can use our rapid fire, which I love. It channels out a stream of 7 shots, and you can use it while moving. Rapid fire causes your next aim shot to be cast 30% quicker. Then we can go in with True Shot. It's on a 2-minute cooldown, reduces the cooldown of your aimed shot and rapid fire massively by 70%, and causes an aimed shot to cast again 50% faster for 18 seconds. It will also sometimes turn into Wailing Arrow, by the way, again from our hero talents. While True Shot is active, you generate more focus and gain critical strike chance, stacking up to 10 times. Every focus you spend reduces the cooldown on your True Shot by 2.5 seconds. So we can then use our aimed shot immediately after, obviously in the True Shot window. A powerful aimed shot dealing damage and causing your next 1 to 2 arcane or multi-shots to deal more damage, which is these, which we'll be using as our filler to kind of dump our focus. Or in AoE, explosive shot that will, explode after a few seconds. Aimed shot deals 50% bonus damage to targets above 70% health, and also fires a Serpent Sting at the primary target. Now, when I used my aimed shot, you'll see on the target, we get Serpent Sting. That's just a dot or damage over time spell that's going to deal nature damage every few seconds. Then we can use our rapid fire again. Remember, it's only on 18-second cooldown, and then we're going to use any kill shots that we can. You attempt to finish off a wounded target. Sometimes you can use it when it procs. Otherwise, it's only when they are below 25% health. Then you can use aim shot again, and rapid fire. Use this literally in this order as a rotation, and you're going to do really bursty amounts of damage. Outside of True Shot, etc., you can pretty much just follow it, but without True Shot, the burstiness from True Shot. We sometimes have precise shots here. Aimed shot causes your next 2 arcane or multi-shots to deal more damage and cost less focus. That I already spoke about on the tooltip. And we also have lock and load. Your ranged auto attacks have a chance to trigger lock and load, causing your next aim shot to cost no focus and be instant. When you then see your aim shot proc, it's going to be absolutely instant, so make sure you do use those when you can. The other thing we can use, if you're taking a ferocity pet, it's going to be Primal Rage, which is quite literally Bloodlust, giving party members 30% haste for 40 seconds, which is huge. Use this with your True Shot, obviously synced up with your other allies to give them their burst as well. Looking at the other kind of cooldowns we have, we've got Aspects of the Cheetah, helping you get out of dodge really, really quickly here, giving you 90% movement speed for 3 seconds, and then 30% movement speed for 9 seconds. Another one is using Disengage, where you leap back out. Here's your aim shot, by the way, your instant one, you'll see. Disengage means you can get straight back out. Let's say you're up against a melee enemy and they are about to do their burst and you're the kill target. Then you can just disengage right out of it. And then maybe use something like Aspect of the Turtle, reducing damage taken, but you cannot attack. You could use that with your Aspect of the Cheetah to really get out of there fast and take less damage, as you're not going to be really attacking when you're running away anyway, or use Exhilaration to get some healing in. Every 10 focus spent reduces the cooldown of Exhilaration by a second. Exhilaration heals you for an additional amount of health over 8 seconds as well. Survival of the Fittest simply reduces all damage taken by 30% for 8 seconds. And then when you're out of combat, you can use Camouflage. You and your pet blend in and going into stealth. While camouflaged, you will heal for 2% of maximum health. And you can use this right out of the gate to sneak in, because it does last up to a minute, meaning you can really get your positioning done really well before going into combat. Looking at the utilities we've got Intimidation, where your pet is going to charge in and stun the target. Binding Shot, tethering your enemies to the arrow here and slowing them if they try and come out of it. Concussive Shot, slowing the movement by 50% for 6 seconds, and Steady Shot will increase the duration of Concussive Shot if you do use it. We don't use Steady Shot as much in PvP. It's kind of a filler spell here. You can use it while moving, however, if you do want to use it. But in PvP, it's a bit more fast-paced. I generally don't use it as much. We've got a tar trap that basically, when anyone stands in it, they're going to have this big old tar, and that's going to slow them. Disengage we spoke about. There's Tranquilizing Shot, removing the enrage and magic effects on your enemy, reducing their combat prowess. There's a high explosive trap, which is fairly good for AoE. I would really only use this if you're using Explosive Shot as well. Hurls a fire trap, and when they touch it, it's going to cause fire damage and knock enemies away. Flare is also amazing. We've spoken about our own camouflage, but Flare will actually highlight anyone that has stealth in that area, like if you're up against a rogue, for example, or maybe even another hunter with their camouflage. The same thing applies with Hunter's Mark. You're going to be dealing more damage. You and your allies will deal more damage to enemies above 80% health, but also you can always see them and they can be tracked by the hunter, when you are in this. So they really cannot escape you when you're putting on your Hunter's Mark. For your PvP talents, I love to go for Chimeral Sting. This one is one of my all-time favourite PvP talents. It's a new ability. It stings them, doing damage, but then it cycles 3 different venoms. First, it will do Scorpid Venom, massively reducing their movement speed. Then it will use the Spider Venom, silencing them. And then it will give Viper Venom, which is 20% reduced healing and damage. And it'll actually cycle through every single one of them every 3 seconds until they're all done. We have Diamond Ice, where victims of your Freezing Trap can no longer be damaged or healed, but Freezing Trap is now undispellable and lasts a complete 5 seconds. Freezing Trap is another one that usually is dispellable, and it will just incapacitate them in there, but it can be dispelled and damage will affect it. But with the talent Diamond Ice, you could take an enemy healer completely out of action, or something like that. Maybe they're trying to do their burst damage on you and you can completely take them out of action. It is really going to stop them in their tracks when you use it with this talent. Another one I really like to get through the rotation really quickly is True Shot Mastery. Reduces the cooldown of True Shot by 20 seconds, and it also restores 100% of your focus, meaning you can get out your rotation much quicker. Usually it's 2 minutes, and that extra 20 seconds will make a lot of difference. So there we go. There's the main kind of rotation here. You've got your cooldowns and your kind of burst, and then all of the utilities that we're doing and the PvP talents. Now we'll have a look at the hero talents. So in this marksmanship build, we are going with, of course, Dark Ranger. And I want to go through in a bit more detail the hero talents, as they are, of course, new to everyone. So obviously the first one we get, the keystone talent, is Black Arrow. Fire a Black Arrow into your target, dealing shadow damage over 18 seconds. Each time Black Arrow deals damage, it can generate a charge of aimed shot and reduce its cast time. Cool. Going down the left side, we've got Overshadow, where aimed shot and rapid fire do more damage. Then we've got a choice node. I like to go with Dark Empowerment. When Black Arrow resets the cooldown of ability, you gain some focus. You can go with Grave Reaper, but only if there's a lot of targets dying very quickly. Shadow Lash. When True Shot is active, Black Arrow deals damage faster. Shadow Hounds, basically you have a chance to literally summon hounds that will do shadow damage for you. Another choice node, I go for Smokescreen. Exhilaration grants you 3 seconds of Survival of the Fittest, and Survival of the Fittest activates Exhilaration at 50% effectiveness. So they kind of symbiotically activate each other a little bit. Then we've got Shadow Surge. When multi-shot hits a target affected by Black Arrow, a burst of shadow damage erupts, dealing damage to all enemies near the target. That can only happen every 6 seconds. Death Shade. When you apply Black Arrow, you gain the Death Blow effect. Lovely for us. Dark Chains. Oh my god, this is insane. I love Dark Chains. Disengage will chain the closest target to the ground, causing them to move slower until they move 8 yards away. So when you disengage out, it's going to chain that target to the ground. So not just getting you out of the situation, but also stopping them from getting back to you. Then we have Darkness Calls, where all shadow damage you and your pets deal is increased. And lastly, Withering Fire. When your Black Arrow resets a cooldown of aimed shot, a barrage of dark arrows will strike your target for shadow damage and increase the damage you and your pets deal for a short duration, which is fabulous. And that pretty much is it for Dark Ranger. Apart from adding Black Arrow, of course, it doesn't really do that much, apart from reducing a few cooldowns, adding some really neat utilities, and obviously summoning Hounds of Hell to basically do damage for you, etc. It's really, really cool without having to massively change our rotation. Finally, we're going to look at the consumables and enchants, etc. that we're using. So in the War Within, a few things have changed. Nerubian Gem Weavers. These are the new things you get in the weekly vault that you can add sockets to your gear with. So you're going to get them on the head, the wrist, and the waist, or at least that's where you can use them, should I say. You'll also notice these magnificent jeweler's settings. Basically, you can now add 2 sockets to your neck and 2 to each ring, rather than just adding 3 sockets to a neck. So 2 on the neck, 2 on the ring, 2 on the ring. Chant of Winged Grace. It gives avoidance and takes away some fall damage on your cloak. On your chest is Crystalline Radiance, giving you primary stat, Chant of Armored Avoidance gives you some avoidance. Going to put an armor kit on our legs. Defender's March or Scout's March. It's up to you which one you go for here. I like Scout's March as it gives speed, so you can get around quicker and a bit more mobility. Critical Strike is generally the best enchant for the rings, but if you are simulating, do be careful to check which is the best secondary stat for you. And the Authority of Radiant Power is going to be on your weapon enchant. Basically, dealing damage has a chance to smite your enemy with Radiant Power, and then also massively increase your primary stat as well. And that is what that weapon enchant will do. Then, looking at the actual consumables, I would just say to go for the Flask of Tempered Versatility, because it's a very general flask, like we did in Dragonflight. Same in the War Within. You can just use that to get more versatility. Feast of the Divine Day, pretty obvious on why we're using a feast. Tempered Potion, this is really interesting. This is actually going to increase all your other secondary stats that you're not using on your flask. Algari Healing Potion is the healing potion for the War Within. Algari Mana Oil, again, adding haste and crit, I think it is, off the top of my head. I filmed so many of these. I'm like, is that what it is? It is, on the Mana Oil for your weapon. And if you are using an Augment rune, these are called Crystallized Augment runes. This just gives you a bit more primary stat, but are generally very expensive. And then sockets. Culminating Blasphemite. Basically, it adds primary stat, and it's also going to add 0.15% critical effect, not chance, but effect, per color gem you have. So if you're using a ruby, an onyx, a sapphire, and an emerald, it's 4 times 15, so you're going to get 0.60%, so 0.660, not 60%, 0.60% increased critical effect. If you're only using rubies, you're only going to get 0.15%. Hopefully that makes sense. Once you've used one of each color, feel free to go ham, depending on what you need for your character, if you're simming, etc., or based off the stat priority I showed earlier, depending if you're a beginner or not, for the rest of the gems. But on your first 4 gem sockets, do try and get one of each color for your culminating Blasphemite. Thank you so much for watching this guide. I hope it was really useful for you in the War Within Season 1, whether it was for Mythic Plus or raiding. If you do have any questions, I'll be happy to help. My Patreon is in the description below, and that is where you can find my LVUI profiles, which I'll show you in a second. And also, I'm putting together a huge macro list for every single spec that's going to be really useful for you in the War Within as well. I am doing all classes and specs for the War Within, so if you are new to the channel, then please do click this playlist here to check out what else I have, which is all of them. There will also be PvP guides on this channel as well for War Within Season 1, so make sure to look out for that. This here is the UI that I was referring to. As you can see, we've got target frames, etc., left and right, and raid frames go in the middle here, and then weak auras in the middle with an action bar down here. Chat is behind where my camera is. Minimap and details, etc., are here on the right. All of the plater profiles, the voodoo, the LVUI, etc., details profile has all been made by me. And again, you can get this on my Patreon should you like it.